Hi, my name is Joanna Whitney. I am an intuitive artist, a student of natural law, and an energy healer. And we're discussing the Kybalion by the Three Initiates. And we're on page 39, which is chapter 6, The Divine Paradox. And I'm probably not going to get through this whole chapter today because it's rather long and in depth. But let's get started. The half-wise, recognizing the comparative unreality of the universe, imagine that they may defy its laws. Such are vain and presumptuous fools, and they are broken against the rocks and torn asunder by the elements by reason of their folly. The truly wise, knowing the nature of the universe, use law, capital L, law, against laws, small l laws. The higher against the lower, and by the art of alchemy transmute that which is undesirable into that which is worthy, and thus triumph. Mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or living, but in using the higher forces against the lower, escaping the pains of the lower planes by vibrating on the higher. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master, the Kybalion. And for myself, I will say what I've used is the higher law through prayer and surrender to the higher power against laws of nature. But I had to align myself with the laws of nature by behaving in a moral manner. So I have done this. I have in my life been torn asunder by the elements because I violated natural law, and then came around and went through a process by which I repaired my relations with others and got into alignment with morality and natural law, and then utilized prayer to as alignment with the big L law to overcome the little L laws. And I still live that way. However, now I want more access to my abilities because what I've found is thus far, although I am deeply protected by the universe, I am suffering as a result of the eugenics plan. You know, I have 3 5G towers within 2 football fields of my house, and I see chemtrails continuously, and I live up the road from a oil refinery. And so I'm subject to pollution and electromagnetic frequencies and chemtrails. And I also don't like that for others and for nature. It really makes me infuriated, and I feel powerless over it because of the corruption of the court system and the type of person you have to be in order to try to fight them on that level. It does seem pointless to me, for me personally, because I don't feel that I am one of those people who can do it. So I'm after my point of view on it is that I'm going to I'm going to it's already happening. I'm already doing it, actually. I'm going to access my latent abilities and utilize them to use force against violence. They're violating my natural law rights through poisoning my environment and I'm going to use force against violence. And these are my latent abilities that, you see all these memes all over the internet about how powerful we are. If we knew how powerful we were, we wouldn't have to take this shit, blah, blah, blah. Well, I want to know, how powerful can humans be? So, that's why I renewed my meditation practice, and am, as I pursue this and do this podcast, more and more information is coming to me about how to access my latent abilities. And so hopefully that's happening for you as well. But like I said, in the meantime, I am surrendered to the higher power, and I use prayer to utilize law against the laws in various ways. But now I want more access for myself, because I've noticed that I can pray for the chemtrails to be removed and they won't be removed. But I can use power, my mental powers, to erase them from the sky. So I want more access to that. And I believe that that is what I'm being led to do. I mean, if I was just given that power through prayer, then I wouldn't have to do anything other than that, right? I wouldn't have to pursue this art more than to ask for that help from God. I call it God, and I'm sure that it's, protective guardians, elementals, nature, but I don't know who it is, honestly, so I call it God. Okay. This is the paradox of the universe, resulting from the principle of polarity, which manifests when the all begins to create. Hearken to it, for it points the difference between half wisdom and wisdom. While to the infinite all, the universe, its laws, its powers, its life, its phenomena, are as things witnessed in the state of meditation or dream, yet to all that is finite, the universe must be treated as real, and life and action and thought must be based thereupon accordingly, although with an ever understanding of the higher truth. Each according to its own plane and laws. Were the all to imagine that the universe were indeed reality, then woe to the universe, for there would be then no escape from the lower to higher divine word. That's what they want, the transhumanists. They want us to believe that there is no escape, but the ancient teachings show that there is a way to escape by acknowledging the absolute truth versus the relative truth. I have to live as though the universe is real, but I know that it isn't. So that's a divine power paradox that lives within me. And I believe humans, at least me, I'm a connector between the earth energy and the cosmic energy. And that's part of my job here, is to connect the earth with the cosmic. The cosmic energy is the absolute, and my earth walk is relative to me. So to go on, then would the universe become a fixity, and progress would become impossible. And if man, owing to half wisdom, acts and lives and thinks of the universe as merely a dream akin to his own finite dreams, then indeed does it so become for him, and like a sleepwalker, he stumbles ever around and around in a circle, making no progress. And being forced into an awakening at last by his falling, bruised and bleeding over the natural laws which he ignored, keep your mind ever on the star, but let your eyes watch over your footsteps, lest you fall into the mire by reason of your upward gaze. So that, to me, that's another way of saying, keep your head in the clouds, but keep your feet firmly planted on earth. like I just said. It is possible to do that, have that knowledge of the all, have that access to the all through reverence, through surrender to the all, and walk the walk down here on earth. Remember the divine paradox that while the universe is not, still it is. Remember ever the two poles of truth, the absolute and the relative. Beware of half-truths. What Hermetists know as the law of paradox is an aspect of the principle of polarity. The Hermetic writings are filled with references to the appearance of the paradox in the consideration of the problems of life and being. The teachers are constantly warning their students against the error of omitting the other side of any question, and their warnings are particularly directed to the problems of the absolute and the relative, which perplex all students of philosophy and which cause so many to think and act contrary to what is generally known as common sense. Okay, well, remember, this was written in 1908. At that time, the trivium was still taught. And since then, the Prussian education system has replaced the trivium and quadrivium. So we'll probably have to go into that in detail at some point. The liberal arts, I think I talked about this in the last video and I stumbled over it. The trivium is grammar, logic, and rhetoric, and it is a study within itself. It's not that simple, but it is sort of a natural way to become autonomous in your learning and always be able to learn anything. And so the basics of it is grammar, which is to assimilate the data together. Logic is how to process it, but that's pretty, that's a science, logic, how to do that. You know, it's not just a random thing, but logic is using the rules of reason to process things to see what's true and what isn't true. And then rhetoric is how to communicate that to others. And that's was the basis of common sense in the old days. Right now, we don't have common sense anymore, I would say. In general, people generally, and I'll speak for myself too, react to things emotionally and don't use their mind to reason things out. That is an art that you have to learn, and it is not being taught anymore. And that on purpose to make us dumb. And like, for example, the other day, I'll give you an example. Someone in the community attacked me verbally on social media. Well, obviously not verbally. They attacked me in a text, on a social media text, and accused me of a bunch of things that I think was a misunderstanding. And instead of pausing and meditating on their accusations, I reacted emotionally immediately and kind of put myself in a position where I basically accepted the accusations. And then a week later, as I pondered it, you know, it came to me how I should have behaved, how I should have responded, you know, what I should have done. What I should have done was to simply sit with it and not take it on and think about it, and then either not responded at all, therefore neither endorsing or opposing their cause, or I could have responded in so many different ways, but I didn't. I just responded, I reacted in a defensive manner, which made me look guilty. And that's what I think a lot of us do. You know, it's the social media thing. It's because something about social media is a violation of natural law, because it would never happen in nature that you could be attacked and have no way to respond completely with all your senses. that you would be attacked and you'd only get through one sense, the intellectual sense. And then, yeah, it's not a natural state, but it's kind of addictive, you know? That's what I found. It's very addictive. So I did not act in common sense. I did not access my common sense. I did not use the trivium to process the information. I just reacted to it and therefore placed myself in a position to be hurt. You know, oh, well, that's the way it is. You know, my basic, what I basically did with that information was I just said to myself, well, this person is not who I thought they were. I'm being slandered. And I reacted, which was unfortunate. And, you know, I have to deepen my meditation in order to be less reactive. I have to extend my meditation in order to be less reactive. And be more thoughtful, you know, be more aware before I go on social media. Well, that's a hard call. I mean, I don't know if I can do it unless unless I lessen the amount of time I'm on there, which I could probably try to do that. But I want more access to common sense. And then when you look at the word common sense, what does that mean? It used to mean that we all had values in common and we could utilize them, and we had agreement, but which we don't have anymore either. But you know, I have another text that I use, and it says in there that common sense there becomes uncommon sense. And unfortunately my phone was on. Hold on a second. Common sense can be uncommon sense, meaning that I can use my intuition instead of common sense, which I didn't do that either, but it would require pausing and praying in a situation like that to access common sense, which is a latent ability. Okay, so where is that? And we caution all students to be sure to grasp the divine paradox of the absolute and relative, lest they become entangled in the mire of the half-truth. So I did. I became mired in, or I became entangled in the mire of the half-truth. But it was still okay because in the end, I realized that the person is just not someone I can't really trust them because they trust gossip. Somebody was gossiping about me and they bought into that gossip and accused me of gossip, you know, whatever. So ultimately, I'll just take everything they say from now on with a grain of salt. That's what we're subject to that now. We're subject to extreme emotional reactivity, gossip, slander. None of the rules that we used to use are in place. With this in view, this particular lesson has been written. Read it carefully. The first thought that comes to the thinking man after he realizes the truth that the universe is a mental creation of the all is that the universe and all that it contains is a mere illusion and unreality, against which idea his instincts revolt. Okay, the thinking man, not the reacting man. You know, I share these experiences I have with everyone here just so that, you know, I'm not trying to be superior in any way. I'm just a regular person going through this myself, and I make mistakes. And so I can share my mistakes so that other people can, you know, understand that it's fine to make mistakes and try to learn from them. But I mean, the thinking man versus the reacting man. So that should be my goal as a result of making this blunder the other day, is to become more of a thinker, to become more of a meditator, someone who I don't have to react immediately. They've got us trained to react immediately. They tell us, oh, you have to buy this right now, or you'll never have access to it again. No, I don't have to do that. I can take 24 hours to decide. And if it's gone in 24 hours, then it wasn't meant to be mine. And if it's still there and I decide I want it, then I can get it. I can take 24 hours. That's always been a very good rule of thumb for me. Not that I always follow it, but when I follow it, it's really the best policy is to take at least 24 hours to have any kind of response to anything. And I may have an emotional response, but I should not react on my emotional response. I should express my emotion, not let it get trapped. If I trap it, I should remove it. Feel my feelings, but privately. Okay. All right, so where did I stop? I'm just going to have to read it, I guess. The first thought that comes to the thinking man after he realizes the truth that the universe is a mental creation of the all is that the universe and the all that it contains is a mere illusion, an unreality against which idea his instincts revolt. But this, like all other great truths, must be considered both from the absolute and the relative points of view. From the absolute viewpoint, of course, the universe is in the nature of an illusion, a dream, a phantasmagoria, as compared to the all in itself. We recognize this even in our ordinary view, for we speak of the world as a fleeting show that comes and goes, is born and dies. For the element of impermanence and change, finiteness and unsubstantiality must ever be connected with the idea of a created universe when it is contrasted with the idea of the all. And I'm going to stop there, even though it's in the middle of a sentence, because I just want to say, even our society is impermanent, as we see. It's easily disrupted. I think for a long time, we were living high on the hog and thought everything was good. But it would require an inner core strength and a focus on the inner for us to have not reacted to the disruption of society that has been brought upon us. And what they're saying here is that everything is impermanent, changing, finite, and unsubstantiated. And so for me to be upset that things are changing and things are in upheaval is simply meant that I fell for the lie that society was going to be, permanently that way. I mean, our society is based on destroying our resources, and eventually that was going to have to change anyway. So might as well make that change happen now internally and put my focus on the inner rather than the outer, so that I can become a formidable opponent to those who want to claim themselves as the changers and the shakers. I'm not going to be shaken by them. That's my hope, but I have work to do because I still react emotionally at times. No matter what may be our beliefs concerning the nature of both the all and, okay, I got to go back. Sorry about that. For we speak of the world as a fleeting show that comes and goes, is born and dies, for the element of impermanence and change, finite and unsubstantiality must ever be connected with the idea of a created universe when it is contrasted with the idea of the all, no matter what may be our beliefs concerning the nature of both. Philosopher, metaphysician, scientist, and theologian all agree upon this idea, and the thought is found in all forms of philosophical thought and religious conceptions, as well as in the theories of the respective schools in metaphysics and theology. So the Hermetic teachings do not preach the unsubstantiality of the universe in any stronger terms than those more familiar to you, although their presentation of the subject may seem somewhat more startling. Anything that has a beginning and an ending must be, in a sense, unreal and untrue. And the universe comes under the rule. In all schools of thought, from the absolute point of view, there is nothing real except the all. No matter what terms you may use in thinking of or discussing the subject, whether the universe be created of matter or whether it be a mental creation in the mind of the all, it is unsubstantial, non-enduring, a thing of time, space, and change. We want you to realize this fact thoroughly before you pass judgment on the Hermetic conception of the mental nature of the universe. Think over any and all of the others' conceptions and see whether this be not true of them. But the absolute point of view shows merely one side of the picture. The other side is the relative one. Absolute truth has been defined as things as the mind of God knows them, while relative truth is things as the highest reason of man understands them. So, again, there's always three sides to every story: his, hers, and the truth, right? So there's always my relative perception of how things are going, the person I'm pissed off at's perception of things, and then there's the truth, which is the overall. There's me down here on the stage as the actor and the other people as other actors, and maybe we misperceive ourselves as the director of the show, whereas up in the lighting grid is the all looking down upon us on the stage, and that the all is really the director, but we misperceive ourselves as the director, or we see ourselves as actors who are being wronged by other actors. That's a good way to look at it. So there's always my perception of the situation, which is usually clouded by past experience and my beliefs, and then the other person's point of view also. And then there's the truth of the situation. And the thing is the other thing about this, though, is they're talking about the things as the highest reason of man understands them. They're talking about using the trivium. Because at the time that this was written, that's how people thought. They were taught how to think critically, and they used critical thinking. They didn't go off half-cocked like we do on a regular basis. Everywhere you see people going off half-cocked. It's like the way things are done now, which is just a lead up to complete and total chaos. Put a lethal armament in the hands of someone who goes off half-cocked, and you're going to have a bloodbath. But if it was someone who used the trivium to reason things out, then it could possibly be resolved peacefully. And so while to the all, the universe must be unreal and illusionary, a mere dream or result of meditation, nevertheless, to the finite minds forming a part of that universe and viewing it through mortal faculties, the universe is very real indeed and must be so considered. In recognizing the absolute view, we must not make the mistake of ignoring or denying the facts and phenomena of the universe as they present themselves to our mortal faculties. We are not the all, remember? To take familiar illustrations, we all recognize the fact that matter exists to our senses. We will fare badly if we do not, and yet even our finite minds understand the scientific dictum that there is no such thing as matter from a scientific point of view. That which we call matter is held to be merely an aggregation of atoms, which atoms themselves are merely a grouping of units of force called electrons or ions, vibrating in constant circular motion. We kick a stone and we feel the impact. It seems to be real, notwithstanding that we know it be merely that what we have stated above. But remember that our foot, which feels the impact by means of our brains, is likewise matter, so constituted of electrons, and for that matter, so are our brains. And at the best, if it were not by reason of our mind, we would not know the foot or stone at all. I'm going to stop there. But I am going to say that, again, my experience has shown me that even though I don't have access to completely my abilities, I do have access through surrender to the all. And by requesting assistance from it, I do or am able to rise above the smaller laws. And even when I make a mistake, like the mistake I made, I can ask for that to be erased. Because I live by natural law, because I try to, I recognize when I'm wrong and I admit it, and I try to make reparations for harms caused. I have access to unlimited power. I just am at a point now where I want more access for myself. So I'm using meditation and mentalism exercises to gain more access. Until next time.